During the June 23rd Hood River Urban Renewal meeting, councilors questioned the past and future of Nichols Basin Natural Area.
In front of you tonight under regular business is a transfer of property from the Waterfront Urban Renewal District to the city. It's the Nichols Basin passive park natural area, just on the southern boundary of the Nichols Basin water, and just north of the roadway over by the Hampton Inn. And this is about us coming towards the end of the Waterfront District's life and the orderly closure, and all urban renewal property eventually becomes property of the city. So this is the only piece of property that the Waterfront District owns. We came to own it through a development deal that produced the Hampton Inn development when it was being built by NATO developers. And so it was really part of a really capstone of a deal that brought everyone together. The NATO's owned that piece of property as well. So we negotiated a price, I believe it was $395, purchased it from the NATO's with money borrowed from the NATO's at 0% interest. That would be repaid by the tax increment generated specifically from what became branded the Hampton Inn. So basically the Hampton Inn tax increment purchased that passive park for us. And the intention is to leave it in a natural state and let it do its riparian work and improve water quality and just be a natural area forever on. So this is really just want to give that history, but this is really much more of an administrative, just perfunctory exercise to move ownership from one tax exempt governmental entity to another tax exempt governmental entity. No fiscal impact, no liability, just something that needs to get done sooner or later.
So I do have a couple of questions. So once this is transferred over to the city, do we have a clear plan or resources for managing any potential long-term environmental liabilities or restoration?
Well, it's never intended to be developed. So that's where like a phase 1, phase 2 and remediation and cleanup would need to happen if we were going to develop it. Okay. But as long as it sits in its natural state, and with no intention to use it for anything other than a natural passive park, I'm not aware of any obligation on the city to do anything.
Thank you. I do have another question. As we think about future use, what have the conversations maybe historically been around how would we involve community input for envisioning of what this could potentially be?
Yeah, I don't believe it can be anything other than a natural passive park. I can confirm that. I was looking at the title records and there's some easements and some agreements in place and on the property. And I believe they require it to continue to be a passive park.
So number 3 for the IGA talks about the project and purpose, and that's where I was asking around what the future use is going to be like based off of what it can only be in bullet point number 3. I'm happy to read that out loud if folks would like that. A trail connection along the Columbia River waterfront, including the use of existing pedestrian bridge over Hood River. Once transferred to the city agrees to use the property for purposes set forth in this section.
Yeah, that was taken from, I believe, the resolution that acquired the property.
Okay.
And the trail connection has been made, but
okay.
It's been made by the creation of the raised up sidewalk.
This time, and it was a super complicated thing, and getting to with the setback of the hotel was so important. And I remember it being as Will's describing that it'll just be shrubbery, and there was quite a bit of taking out invasives and putting in more native plants, and I think Riverkeeper would maybe involved. But to me, it feels like the way it is now was the intent of the way it was intended to be, and it's just it makes sure that the hotel is set back, but that the Nichols got compensated for going that amount of space. So I'm really pleased with how it's kind of gotten to the desired state.
Just a clarifying question, this language, around language, this is a natural area, not a park? It's, now I was kind of saving this for city council. It is it's a clear question, but there will be a difference later on.
Yes, I understand where you're going with that,
Mhm.
in regards to the city
Mhm.
charter amendment.
Mhm.
Um, let me follow up with that with you. I don't, needs to be transferred one way or the other, but if that becomes, if we want to start looking at potentially changing its use in the future, I can follow up and with maybe some information to shed light one way or the other.
Yeah, I was planning on holding that one until city council, but given that we're talking about it now, I figured I would ask that question now. So, yeah, so if we can know which one it is, because I believe right now it's just a natural area and not a park.
Was a reporter for the Hood River News at the time and wrote at least one or some of the articles about it. And that's my recollection as well, is that it was the intent is that it was never to be like anything that was developed, quite the opposite, that it was going to be, like a passive, riparian area. And I also recollected that it was like Riverkeeper that was doing the like initial work on it. But Grant has a good question.
Well, in addition to those questions, what sort of budget could we expect to see?
I do remember that there was $5,000 approximately that was paid to the River Keeper, and I believe the Parks and Rec District was somehow involved. The money may have come from the Parks and Rec District. And I believe that was just one time expense to do some work on the property. There's no ongoing budget in the Urban Renewal Agency to do any maintenance or upkeep, and so the city would not need to assume any sort of maintenance or upkeep responsibility itself.
I move the Urban Renewal Agency Board authorize the agency administrator to execute an governmental agreement with the city of Hood River for the transfer of ownership of Nichols Basin.
Thank you. I have a first from Amanda.
Second.
Second from Grant. Any additional discussions? Great. Seeing none. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.